Bashoshani. If you want to follow along, the words are on the top of page 129. Dodi li, va'ani lo haroeh. Bashoshani, dodi li, va'ani lo haroeh. Bashoshani, mizot olam min hamidbar, mizot olam, mekuteret mor, mor ulevona, mor ulevona. Dodi li, va'ani lo haroeh. Bashoshani, dodi li, va'ani lo haroeh. Bashoshani, libatini achoti chala, libatini chala, libatini achoti chala, libatini chala. Dodi li, va'ani lo haroeh. Bashoshani, dodi li, va'ani lo haroeh. Bashoshani. We'll continue welcoming in Shabbat with Shalom Alechem, page 142. Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem, Boachem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Teitchem, Teitchem leShalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom. Whoa, a little loud. Now batting, number 2. We good? Better, okay. Why is the rabbi yelling? Every Jewish holiday has its own greeting, right? So in some ways, it's kind of like Jewish code. We say Shabbat Shalom, and if you don't know those secret words, then they don't let you in or whatever. And for the High Holy Days, right, it's Shana Tova or Yom Kippur, Gemar Chatima Tova. And each of these greetings, each of these, introductory words, they're connected to the theme of the holiday. So do you know what the proper greeting is for Pesach? There's a couple of them. So Chag Sameach, so it's a Chag, right? So one of the Chagim, the holidays, and in this case it's and John, I know I spoke about this last week on Thursday, but you were the only person here at shul, so I'm not the only person here, but the only person here that was there. So I'm doing it again, but I'm embellishing now. Like most things, my sermons are getting longer. So Chag Sameach, because it's one of the pilgrimage holidays, and in fact, I think in many sense, Pesach has become a pilgrimage holiday in a different way, in that we make a pilgrimage to our parents' homes or our children's homes, or they make a pilgrimage, God willing, to us, so that we're together for Seder. What are the other greetings for Pesach? You know another one? So there's Hag Kasher v'Sameach. It should be a kosher here, meaning proper. It should be a proper and joyous holiday. And the other one is a Yiddish word. It's a Zissin Pesach. And Zissin's an interesting word. Zissin means sweetness. A Zissin Pesach, that it should be sweet. Huh? We would say a Zissin Pesach, right? Yeah. So a Zissin Pesach, but Zissin also is connected in Yiddish with the word compassion. Sorry. Zissin means sweet. And we also have the word Pesach, which we often translate as to Passover, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. That's my sermon for tomorrow. But why would we wish somebody a sweet Seder? Any ideas what that's connected to? Huh? Freedom is sweet. So the worry is that we're going to get so, even though it's a joyous holiday, we have this tendency in Judaism to make everything about what happened to us that was bad, right? We tend to find the woe in whatever we're doing. And so we say Zis and Pesach so that we don't get caught up in all that befell us and the slavery and the 435 years of servitude and all the suffering that we went through, and that we should remember to actually celebrate and be joyous and to find sweetness in it. So even with the matzah and even with the bitter herb and the salt water, right? I mean, look what we've done to this joyous freedom holiday. We've got tears and we've got bitterness of bricks and bitter herbs and all these things. Well, there's the harosa, but even the bricks, right? And so you should have a sweet Pesach. You should find sweetness even in the midst of remembering of all of our suffering. And that's just such a Jewish notion that we have to be reminded to celebrate, right? We have to be reminded to find joy. Otherwise, we would tend to focus very much, I think, on our sorrows and our woes. So a Zis and Pesach, and a Zis and Shabbos as well. You should have a sweet Shabbos. We'll continue with the lighting of the Shabbos candles. Would anybody like to do the reading in English before the lighting of the Shabbos candles? Anyone? Anyone? Come on, you're back from sabbatical, you're back from Cambridge.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Terrific. Could you come over and light the two candles for us?
Yeah.
They're already lit, so you just have to take this one and light the others. You're welcome. Not yet. False start.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So we're going to move into our Kabbalat Shabbat service, welcoming in Shabbat with the words of Psalms, starting on page 131, Psalm 96. We sing a new song. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo. Basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru vagoyim kevodo, vechol amim nifleotav ki gadol Adonai umulav meod noraun al kol Elohim. Page 133, Mizmor Shiru. Mizmor Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash, Ki niflaot asa ישועת אלוהינו, הריעו לאדוני כל הארץ, פיצחו ורננו וזמרו, יאללה, 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 So there's a story I was reading about a siddur that was told by Rabbi Shefa Gold, who writes music as well for some of the prayers. And she said she was once sitting at a siddur where everyone was feeling kind of depressed. Like you were saying, there's so many woes in our story and sadnesses, even not our own sadness, because yes, we have a happy ending, but the Egyptians suffered the plagues and at the sea.
We have a happy ending for now. Who knows?
For now. And then like you look around the world and there's a lot to be sad about. We often bring in things that are going on around the world, wars, injustices, and think about that at our Seder. And they said, don't we have any other story? Maybe where like we win, but no one has to lose, or we win not at the expense of anyone else. Isn't there any other way to freedom? And just when they felt like hopeless this is it, this is our story, and we just have to deal with that, they came up with an answer. They said, we do have another story. Traditionally, during Shabbat, during Pesach, which we will hear tomorrow morning, we chant the Song of Songs, Shir HaShirim, which is this beautiful text that we have that's just a love poem between people, between Israel and God, however you interpret it. So she says, while the book of Exodus tells the story of our outer journey from slavery to freedom, the Song of Songs tells the inner story, which Rabbi Akiva hints at when he calls the Song of Songs the Holy of Holies. That's how much we elevate this beautiful love story with these beautiful images of nature and bodies. He says it's just like the Holy of Holies, which occupied the very center of our temple, of our sanctuary. The Song of Songs stands at the center of the mystery of freedom. So we began with those words of Dodi Li from Shir HaShirim. And I think that's a beautiful way to bring us into Shabbat, the Shabbat of Pesach. And we're going to continue now with Lecha Dodi, another beautiful poem, which draws from lots of different texts, starting on page 138. When we get to that last verse, we'll rise and face the entrance to welcome in the Sabbath bride. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, לשמו תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Verse 2, Likrat Shabbat, nekavela. Verse 3. Mikdash melech il melucha kumitei mitoch hafecha rav lach shevet v'mekabacha v'hu yachamol aleichem la olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki ba'orech kumi ori, uri uri, shir daberi, kevod Adonai aleichem la, olecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela, olecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha ubetola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, facing friend. One more time all together. Olecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Olecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekavela.
Can be seated. Sadi Katamar or no? No? Okay, well, actually, then we'll stand up again. Page 263.
Up, down. Just keeping
Come on,
you
you're all
awake.
still full from Seder. It's good to get a little bit of workout in. Page 263, Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
אמן.
ילמד יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי.
בחייכון יומכון וחייכו בית ישראל.
בגלה ובזמן קריב וימרו.
אמן.
יהי שמי רבה מברך.
לעולם לא מעומיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי דקודשה
ברכו.
לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה.
תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירון בעלמא.
ויאמרו.
Amen. 264.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Can be seated. As we join this time you really can. I won't make you get up again for a bit. We'll continue in the Hebrew Ma'ariv Aravim as we thank God for evening and setting the stars in the heavens. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim, u'bitvuna meshana itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'mesader et hakochavim, b'mishrotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. U'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla, u'mavdil bein yom u'bein layla. Adonai tzvaot shemo. El Chai
וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני,
שמו.
המעריב ערבים. אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך, לעולם לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה ואהבתך. אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
I don't think I'm the first to make the connection between the mark on the doorposts of our homes or the homes of the Egyptian or the Hebrew slaves at the 10th plague, the blood marking on the doorposts to keep away the angel of death, and the mezuzah, which we place on our door, which is not to keep away, but rather to welcome in. It's an interesting thing, I think, that our tradition of marking our doorposts began with trying to keep away danger, and has continued now with the Ve'ahavta that we just chanted, and the commandment to write these words as a sign upon the doorposts of our house as an invitation to not only embark or imbibe the teachings of Judaism in all that we do, but also as a recognition for those who live around us that there's a Jew in this house, and to identify with and connect with that. We have a student in one of our B'nai Mitzvah classes that's coming up soon who did for his Bar Mitzvah project during Purim, Shloch Manot, to take baskets around, and he did it just in his neighborhood. And I said, how'd you know who to take baskets to? And he said, I just looked for all the mezuzahs. And then he went and knocked on the doors of the people that had a mezuzah and brought them this gift basket for Purim. And so we have the keeping away, and then we have the welcoming in. And it's the signs that we put out into the world. Whether what we're expressing is stay away from us, stay away from me, I don't want anything to do with you, I'm fearful of you, or what we're projecting out into the world, in the mezuzah of our soul perhaps, is come and knock on my door. Come and let's create connection and relationship. And it's up to us what is the symbol that we want to project out. With that, we turn to page 270, and we sing a song of redemption, also of this time of year, Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha va'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, malchutecha ra'ovanecha, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כיבד אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל, ויעל ירושלים.
Continuing along that theme that we have to sometimes be reminded or instructed to celebrate, we continue with Yismechu, that we might celebrate in the delight of Shabbat, page 272.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עוני שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עוני שבת. מקדשי, מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישמעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עוני שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עוני שבת. והשביעי רצית בו וקידשת שבת. חמדד ימים אותו קראת שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עוני שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עוני שבת. זכר למעשה, למעשה וראשית שבת. זכר למעשה, למעשה וראשית שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עוני שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי, שומרי, שומרי שבת וקורא עונג שבת.
As we rise for the Amidah, page 273, a reminder that our prayer has now shifted from a prayer for rain to a prayer for dew. To a prayer for dew. Page
I highlighted
273.
it really boldly on the sheet.
Yes,
so
I see that.
wouldn't
We
forget
missed it
this time.
yesterday, so that's why it rained today. That's why, because
You're welcome. Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'anora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים.
276.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Amen.
Please be seated. Continue to the top of page 279 with Ritzeh.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu, be'amecha Yisrael, utefilatam be'ahava tekabel, utehile ratzon, tamid avodat Yisrael. Yisrael Amecha, El Karov Lechol Korav, Penei El Avadecha Vechoneinu, Shefoch Ruchacha Aleinu. We'll insert this Pesach prayer for Rosh Chodesh, Pesach, and Sukkot on the bottom of 279. Eloheinu, Eloi Avotenu ve'imotenu, Ya'aleh ve'yavo v'yizacher zichronenu, v'zichron kol amcha beit Yisrael lefanecha, לטובה, לחן ולחסד ולרחמים, לחיים ולשלום, ביום חג המצות הזה. זוכרנו אדוני אלוהינו בו לטובה. אמן. ופוקדנו בו לברכה. אמן. והושיענו בו לחיים. Amen.
Top of 280, our God and God of our fathers and mothers, be truly mindful of us and all your people Israel on this day of Pesach, and renew in us love and compassion, goodness, life, and peace. This day remember us for well-being.
Amen.
This day bless us with your nearness.
Amen.
This day help us to a fuller life.
Amen.
We take a moment now for our own prayers of hoda'ah, of thanksgiving, as we thank God for the blessings in our lives.
ועל ניסך שבכל יום, ערב ובוקר וצהריים, מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך, הטוב כי לא חלו רחמך, והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך, קיווינו לך מעולם, קיווינו לך.
A prayer for peace at a time when we need peace perhaps more than anything else. Page 282.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Take a moment for our own private prayers and meditations.
As we come out of our own personal prayers in honor of Pesach, there's a special line that we say. You can find it on page 665, all the way in the back of your siddur. There's some Pesach music. You might not have gotten to this one in your seder, this tune, but maybe these words, Bechol dor vador, in every generation, we must see ourselves as if we personally came out of Egypt. This is the melody we did last week, if you were here, and if you were not, follow me. It goes like this. Bechol dor vador, chayav adam lirot et atzmo, כאילו הוא, כאילו הוא, כאילו הוא יצא ממצרים. Try that. בכל דור, בכל דור ודור, חייב אדם, חייב אדם לראות את עצמו, כאילו הוא, כאילו הוא, כאילו הוא יצא ממצרים. One more time. בכל דור ודור, חייב אדם לראות את עצמו, כאילו הוא יצא ממצרים, יצא ממצרים, יצא ממצרים, יצא ממצרים. את עצמו כאילו הוא יצא ממצרים, יצא ממצרים, יצא ממצרים, יצא ממצרים. Can you picture yourself crossing through and wandering the desert? Can you feel the wind support you as you go? Do you hear the cries of those left behind, still hoping for tomorrow? Do you fear the mountain you still have to climb? בכל דור ודור חייב אדם לראות את עצמו כאילו יצא ממצרים. One more time. בכל דור ודור, you got it. חייב אדם לראות את עצמו כאילו יצא ממצרים, יצא ממצרים, יצא ממצרים, יצא ממצרים.
You're an awesome cantor. That was awesome. We've begun a new minhag, a new custom as we come now to Misha Berach, a prayer for healing, to add a prayer for those who are suffering with ongoing illness as well. So often it's just in those acute moments that we get the attention of our family and our friends, that the meals show up and the phone calls and the visits, but there are many that lay on a bed of pain and have ongoing illness that continues long beyond that acute phase. But it is acute for them every single day. And so we want to acknowledge their needs as well, their need for healing. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu. Be with our loved ones through these days, months, and years of ongoing illness, and plant within them the courage and fortitude that they need to endure weakness, loss of memory, and pain. Help us to continue to find ways to show our love and concern for them in their time of need. Give them strength of spirit as they face their daily challenges. And may their afflictions soon be ended, and may they return in health to family and friends. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. We praise you, Adonai, the source of healing. Amen.
Amen.
And we ask God's blessing of healing upon those who are sick at this time and in need of healing. We ask that God bless with healing Roger and Wendy Seelig, Nancy Willing, Landon Slobin, Yaakov Eliezer ben Caleb Apala, Jerry Lampert, Sam Brown, Luis Adrian Seelig, Susan Mishler, Lynn Wolfson, Rabbi Lindsay Bat Joseph, Natalie Mormelli, Yum Kin Godan, Tzemach ben Menashe HaLevi Verikla, Meyer Tzvi, Meyer Zalman ben Rachel, Daniel Gottesman, Bill Shaw, Claire Columbia, Matt Good, Alicia Eckersley, Carla Zavot, Janet Gelb, David Shlomo Gorney, Andrea Jarzabak. If there are others in need of this prayer for healing, I invite you to stand and call out their names one by one. We join with our cantor, page 373, Amisha Berach, a prayer for healing.
371.
371.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. שברך אמותינו מקור הברכה לאבותינו. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. And let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom. A few announcements. First of all, thank you. Marielle is in the back here, and I just want to thank her and Bernie for all that they did, as well as our whole office staff for putting together last night's Sederim. We had about 120 or so children and adults for our family Seder, and another 100 for our adult Seder in 2 different rooms, one after the other sequentially, and it was just tremendous. So thank them when you see them for all that they did. Bernie returned to the room. We dropped 160 ping pong balls last night for hail and threw gummy frogs around, and the room looks terrific. So that's all their work. Lots going on at the synagogue this week and next. I'll just point out a few things. On Wednesday night, our men's club has the stories that we tell ourselves with Temple member Aaron Cass, who in addition to being a medical doctor is also a storyteller. That's at 7 o'clock here at the synagogue. Come for that. Our sisterhood is having a spring plant fundraiser, and you can purchase spring plants beginning now all the way through to the end of April. You can order on our website, and the proceeds are going to our social action program. Our grade 8 and 9 students are going to be gathering for our are you excited you're going to Tofino and not having to, are you coming back for it? You are, okay, because your parents came to the other thing. So we have a Kabbalat program for grade 8 and 9, and our last of our 4 gatherings together is a Jewish view of love, sex, and relationships. And so we'll be gathering with Carly McPhee, who is a accredited and quite wonderful sex educator that works in our schools, not in our schools, but in the public schools and the private schools, out of Salima Noon's group, and myself, and we're going to spend 6 hours talking about a Jewish view of love, sex, and relationships. And so if you have a grade 8 or 9 student, whether they're in our Kabbalat program or not, if you would like them to join, you can sign up online for that. And then there's a book and a bite, which is our sisterhood book group. That's the following week on the 18th and the 19th. Much more going on. I want to mention it because you're here for sure. On April 19th and the 26th and on May 3rd, Allison Seton, who's right here, is going to be leading a group, Let's Talk About Money, discussions with Temple members and Allison, who's our financial educator. The topics will include foundational financial concepts, protection and generational wealth building, and long-term wealth building and investing. So if you're interested in those things, and come see Allison about it, or more importantly, come to the program beginning on the 19th. Lots more going on at the shul. You can see it all online here. Any announcements that I need to highlight or miss? No? A lot going on. Busy place. Okay. So, how many of you hosted a Seder this year? Raise your hand. A couple. Who attended a Seder? Good. Who did both? Hosted and attended? Wow. Okay. So I have a confession to make, which is, I guess, also an observation, that before I became a rabbi, I had never hosted or led a Seder. And that might surprise you. Think, oh, he's a rabbi. He must have done this a lot of times. But I hadn't, because of the same reason that maybe many of you had not hosted or led a Seder, which was that was what Papa did. That's what Grandma did. And then when they couldn't do it anymore, that's what my parents did. And if I had not become a rabbi, I would still just be a passenger and a spectator at Seders, never taking the wheel myself and driving that Seder bus or train wherever it goes. And this is true for so many things, not just for Seder. I meet with wedding couples all the time, and I ask them about their Jewish home, and invariably they tell me that they do Shabbat regularly. And I say, oh, really? Terrific. What do you do for your Shabbat? I say, oh, we go to our parents' house. Smart. Right? It's smart, right? And then I just had a couple today, actually, and I was asking them about this, is what sort of made me think about this as a talk for tonight. And they said, no, they've never actually hosted Shabbat themselves, but if they do Shabbat, they go to their parents' house for it. We do the same thing with synagogue membership. In fact, before we created our Next Generation group, which is our sort of 30 and under membership category, we had just a handful of members in our congregation who were 35 and under without children. They didn't join, but we sold or gave away hundreds of high holiday tickets to adult children of our members who just never had any reason to join a synagogue on their own and didn't until we told them they couldn't just come on their parents' membership, and they had to actually join on their own. We didn't charge them. They just needed to sign up online. And all of this, I think, goes to an important point, which is that what is the future of Judaism if the future of Judaism doesn't know how to lead a Seder, doesn't do their own Shabbos, doesn't belong to a synagogue on their own membership, but like our Netflix accounts, just uses that of our parents? Pesach is the most celebrated of all the Jewish holidays in the calendar. In fact, 95%, by some surveys, 95% of the Jewish community will attend a Seder. But only a handful of those will host a Seder. And here in the diaspora, we actually have at least 2 and many more opportunities to have a Seder. You know, in Israel, in the land of Israel, you get 1 Seder. But chutz la'aretz, outside the land, we have at least 2 nights, and many will do other nights of Seder. But many will not actually host their own. We read in the Haggadah, at our Seder, in every generation they rise up to destroy us. And what's the antidote for that generational destruction? That in every generation, when they rise up to destroy us, that generation rises up and stands against them. Not through war and conflict, although sometimes it's through that, but through ownership and presence and perseverance. We defend our right to exist by existing, by doing. That's the antidote to their attempt to destroy us in every generation. It is that we are still here. It is that in the midst of things like the Shoah, of which there is nothing like the Shoah, Jews still lit Shabbos candles. Jews still put mezuzahs on doorposts of ghetto homes. Jews still tried to find a little bit of oil to light a Hanukkah or to have some matzah for Pesach, for Seder. Now, this worry that we're going to disappear out of our own lack of ownership over our own tradition is nothing new. You can read it in the Haggadah. This occurred to me last night as I was leading a Seder, as we read about the 4 sons, which really should be the 4 children, but they wrote it in a patriarchal time. So the 4 sons, there's the one that is wise, and that child asks questions to understand, how does this work and what are these laws? But what are the other 3, the other 75%? Right? The Rasha, the wicked, his issue is to say, what does this all mean to you? Not to me, but to you. Removing himself from Seder, that is the embodiment of this whole issue. And then there's the simple child that doesn't understand what's going on. And then there's the one that doesn't even know how to ask a question, doesn't even know where to begin. Our rabbis worried, and I think they were right mathematically, that 75% of the Jewish world would not be capable of sustaining Judaism. And only 25% would actually have the tools and the sechel, the knowledge, the wisdom to lead a Seder, to make kiddush, to light Shabbos candles, to do the things that we do as Jews. The greatest threat to Judaism is not what is happening in Israel. It's not interfaith marriage or assimilation. It's not a host of other things that we could name. The greatest threat to Judaism is illiteracy. The greatest threat to Judaism is that we don't know our own tradition. And if we don't know our own tradition, who will know it for us? Right? I mean, I guess we could go to ChatGPT and have it do Judaism for us, but we gave a sermon on that. That's not going to be good for us. I've never been to medical school, though I pretend to be a doctor sometimes when I visit people in the hospital and think that I know what's being diagnosed. But I have seen enough medical shows to remember this mantra, which we know is so true not only in medicine, which is what? Watch one, do one, and teach one. Right? That's how you actually learn something. That's how you take it in. Watch one, do one, teach one. We are stuck on watching. We have turned Judaism into a spectator sport for so many, and it's not a spectator sport. It's an active thing. And so here's the prescription. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I'm giving one. Here's the prescription. Stop inviting your kids to Seder. Invite them to one, but don't invite them to two. And tell them, to the extent that we can still tell our children anything, that they have to make their second Seder themselves. Send them a basket of Haggadot or macaroons or a box of matzah. Drop off a case at their doorstep and said, you make Seder. Invite your friends. Make your own Haggadah. You can go on Haggadah.com and you can download all great bits and parts of Haggadot. You can just order them on Amazon. And really, you can put it into ChatGPT, and somebody did that and made a Haggadah. Don't invite your kids to two Seders. Invite them to make their own the second time. But it's not just Seder, right? And it's not just our kids. We ourselves need to take ownership over this tradition. So if you are a passenger and you go, the wandering Jew that goes from Seder to Seder to Seder, accept one, host one. Accept one invitation, but then say, I've got to do this on my own too, so that I own it. For me, not just for your children, but for you. And it's true about all things Jewish, right? How many of us have never made our own sukkah, but we've been to a sukkah at somebody else's home? Why can't we make our own? One of the great prides that we have in our family is that my children have learned now to comfortably lead Kiddush wherever they go. I mean, it's a measure of what you need in order to drive Jewishly. Like, that's just the basics. We were in Ottawa visiting universities at the Hillel. Actually, this was in Kingston on that Friday night. And it was time for Kiddush, and Judah got up and led Kiddush. And I was so proud. In a synagogue not his own, in a conservative synagogue, in a province not his own, let alone a city. And it's not because he's a rabbi's kid, but because we make that a priority, and you can too. Empower our children, empower yourself to own this tradition. In every generation, we worry that it's going to die out. But if we teach every single generation, including our own, to own it, then it won't die. It will flourish. And like Seder, year after year, it will actually be the thing that sustains us, that inspires us, that encourages us to go on Lador Vador, from generation to generation. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn to page 586 and continue with Elenu. Oh, sorry, we're going to do the prayer for Rosh Chodesh first. Not Rosh Chodesh, for the Omer. Right.
Last night at second night Seder, we began counting the Omer, this period of 7 weeks between Passover and Shavuot. So on page 570, you can find the blessing for counting the Omer, including a few lines to help us kind of get in the Omer counting mode, like a meditation where it says, I'm ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer.
And this is the second day of the Omer, so it's actually Sheni's Omer day, because it is Yom Sheni.
Sheni.
Only
Unrelated,
get that once
but
a year.
spelled the same. Yai la la la, yai la la la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la. Leshem yichud, kudsha brichu shchintei, hineni mochan umezuman, לקיים מצוות עשה, שספירת העומר, שספירת העומר, שספירת העומר, שספירת העומר. We ready? Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai. Baruch atah Adonai. אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו, ספירת העומר, ספירת העומר, Yom on the bottom of the page. Hayom Shnei Yamim LaOmer. Hayom Shnei Yamim LaOmer. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la.
Today is the second day, which is in the first week. It's 2 days of the Omer. We are going to continue and rise 586 for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אינו, עבד מלכנו אפס עולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. A reading before Kadisha Tome, page 592. When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known or loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that is left of me is love, give me away. On this Shabbat, we recall those whose yortzeit, the anniversary of their death, falls during this week. As I read the name of your loved one, if you could please rise here or at home so we might comfort you in our midst. Robert Arnstein, Coleman Belogas, Bella Bild, Edward Bajorst, Tom Cohn, Lazaro Ashkenazi, Hilda Everall, Wolf Faust, Lillian Fielder, Cheryl Fishman, Adam Kale Golden, Saul Golden, Risa Goldstein, Gittel Goldstein, Hannah Goldstein, Meyer Goldstein, Tzipora Goldstein, Yitzhak Goldstein, Mordechai Goldstein, Mina Shapiro Granier, Hirsch Hansen, Albert Hansen, Gershon Hartman, Maria Koshalev, Molly Krivel, Benjamin Lubell, Joseph Lutsky, Clifford Margolis, Daniel Morris, Alvin Nerod, Marilyn Newman, Leah Posner, Joe Pudovic, Lillian Robbins, Toby Rothstein, Phyllis Rudnick, Max Schachter, Gertrude Schneider, Sarah Seltzer-Millman, Mary Shanti, Harold Slate, Henry Spector, Larry Sprackman, Mark Steinberg, Molly Steiner, Lillian Weinstein. If there are names that I have missed or mispronounced, or if you've come to say Kaddish for any other reason, please rise and call those names out one by one. Looking around, we see those that have stood in mourning. We don't want them to stand alone, and so we'll rise now, standing by their side, providing the comfort of our presence, and we invite those that are able and would like to join us and join them in Kaddish Tome, page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yomad yivrach yerutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agalau v'zman kariv v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha b'richu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata, daminron be'alma v'maru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'maru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'maru, amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn comfort the bereaved among us, and we say together, amen. We're going to join together in Kiddush and Motzi. Don't worry, it's matzah, not challah. And then our closing song. Vayhi erev vayhi boker yom hashishi vayhulu hashamayim v'aretz b'kol tzva'am vayachol Elohim b'yom hashvi melachto asher asa vayishbot b'yom hashvi mekom melachto asher asa vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi v'kadesh oto ki vo Shabbat mikom melachto asher bara Elohim la'asot Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei Peri Hagafen. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishav mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava ratzon yithilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'charta Yotanu kidashta Mikol amim B'shabbat kodshecha Be'ahava uvratzon Hinchatanu Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat
Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
It's matzah. Pick a card, any card. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Page 646. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. And Miriam was a weaver of unique variety. The tapestry she wove was one which sang our history. With every thread and every strand she crafted her delight. A woman touched with spirit, she danced for the light. And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. As Miriam stood upon the shores and gazed across the sea, the wonder of this miracle she soon came to believe. Whoever thought the sea would part with an outstretched hand, and we would pass to freedom and march to the promised land. Everyone! And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. danced and danced the whole night long. Last verse. And Miriam the prophet took her timbrel in her hand, and all the women followed her, just as she had planned. And Miriam raised her voice in song, she sang with praise and might.
We've just lived through a miracle, we're gonna dance tonight. Direct quote.
Woo! And the women dancing with their timbrels followed Miriam as she sang her song. Sing a song to the one whom we've exalted. Miriam and the women danced and danced the whole night long. Woo!
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.